The potential is actually quite big. So if you look at some of the geological studies done, Denmark has the potential to actually store more than several hundred years of our own emissions. So we are able to create an industry where we can support Europe in actually storing a lot of the CO2 here. So plenty of potential to do that.
With this new green transition, we're actually going to do the same thing, but instead of, taking oil out of the reservoir, we're actually reversing the flow and adding the CO2 to the reservoir instead, giving us a future out here and also a big contribution to the green transition.
We think it's one of the best answers to cut emissions, and the reason is that we don't want to deindustrialize Europe. We want to have actually a few instruments to decarbonize instead, so we can maintain our industry, but meanwhile actually remove some of the CO2, so it's gonna offset. If you look at Europe as a continent, we're the most important on importing energy. And actually the footprint we deliver from importing energy against producing domestic or regional oil and gas is a lot more important for the transition instead of importing with a higher footprint. So we see a purpose in doing this for a period while we create a transition for Europe.
Yeah.
The cavities are important because we actually need the sites. The storage mechanism is within the cavities. And when we take a look at actually how the green sand looks like, then I have a sample here. And we can see that in this rock, we have studied that almost 1/3 of the rock volume is actually made up of cavities. So in this particular rock, 1/3 can be replaced by CO2 by pore volume. We found that there is no reactions between the reservoir and this injected CO2, and we find that the seal rock on top of that has sufficient capacity to withhold the pressure that is induced when we are storing CO2 in the subsurface. So these two matters makes it's a perfect site for storage right there.
So much money, so much time, so much headspace on this one technology. We could have CCS on those very few sectors where emissions are truly difficult or impossible to abate. But when you have all sectors in society almost saying we need to just catch the emissions and store them instead of reducing emissions. And that is the problem in developed societies right now, instead of cutting emissions, instead of recognizing we have a very shrinking carbon budget and we need to do everything to reduce emissions, we are basically just putting filters on our chimneys, catching the carbon and hoping to store it underground.